Who am I? Okay? Well, we go through on that. Let's take a look. Who am I? That's a great question that most people are not able to answer. And I honestly believe if you focus on answering this question to your own satisfaction, but it's got to be to your satisfaction, you're going to move on the right track. Now let's look here. This is the first part. Who am I? I am a spiritual being, and as such, I deal in thoughts. Where is spirit? Spirit's omnipresent. There's nowhere where spirit is not. Where's thought? Thoughts are omnipresent. There's nowhere a thought is not. I had the good fortune of working with Captain Edgar Mitchell. He was the captain of the lunar landing module on one of the Apollo flights. He had done thought transference exercise from the other side of the moon with Sherman and Ford here in the southern eastern part of the United States. He was doing thought transference. Thought is energy. Thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. There's nowhere where thought is not. You can be underwater and thinking. You can be in a plane. You can jump out of a plane. You can walk down the street. Wherever you are, you can think. He was thinking from the other side of the moon. And when you think, you're sending out a charge of energy. Thought waves would make the laser beam look puny. Very, very potent. And you can think. That's the highest function that you're capable of. You have what's called an inductive reasoning factor. That gives you the ability to pluck no thing and make it something. That's what thinking is. And you think and you pull the thoughts together and you build what's called an idea. And you have an intellect. You're the only form of life that has been blessed with such a thing. And most people really don't understand that, but it's still the way it is. I've got little pets at home. They do not have an intellect. I do. The intellect, the baby or the animals operate by instinct, which is perfect. We operate with intellect. Now we have an intuitive factor. That's part of the intellect. That's an intellectual factor. And the intuitive factor picks up energy. It deals with spirit. I say intellect, or the intuitive factor is what God talks to you with. You can talk to God with your intuitive factor. Spirit never expresses itself other than perfectly, and with your intuitive factor, you can tune in on a spiritual frequency. And Spirit's perfect. You have the ability to build ideas, to originate ideas, and then you can take those ideas and you can literally cause them to move into form. It's phenomenal when you think what we can do. We can take thought, build an idea, and we put the idea in our subjective mind. The subjective mind is subjective. It's the subconscious. It's universal intelligence. And whatever you plant in universal intelligence must move into form. Must, as long as you feed it. You're going to feed it. And it grows into form by law. Now the physical, it moves into things. So you see, you've got triune being. You're a triune being. You simultaneously operate on 3 planes of understanding. That's who I am. I am a spiritual being. I have an intellect. And I live in a physical body. But I am a spiritual being. That is the highest function that there is. There's nothing higher. Spirit is pure, unadulterated power. Now we're going to come back because we're going to find out that we can perform magic with this. You're a mass of energy and you function on frequencies. But that's really what you are. You're a mass of energy and you function on frequencies. If we were to photograph your body with Curlian photography, that Semyon Curlian perfected a form of photography back in the 30s, where you can photograph mass, and that mass is glowing. It's energy in a very high speed of vibration. Your body actually glows. You can train yourself to deal with that energy. You can feel the energy, and you can literally learn to see it. And you can pick that energy up. What is your name, sir?
Rene.
Pardon?
Rene.
Rene? Is there anybody here? Do you know Rene?
Yeah.
You know him fairly well?
Yeah.
He's got a very powerful mind, this guy. When he makes up his mind to do something, he'll go right through a wall to make it happen. If he tells me he can't afford something, what he's really telling me is, you haven't made me want what you got. He's always got a couple of bucks stuck away for a rainy day. I could tell you so many things about him. If you're going to feed him, give him something substantial. Not a lot, but he likes to get his teeth into something substantial. If you're working at things that don't require a lot of physical exercise, you'll get involved in working out at a gym or knocking a wall down for just exercise when you go home. You're a very left-brain person. You'd make a good lawyer, a good accountant, good engineer. I don't know what you do. You'll just automatically lead. You're a manager. You're going to lead. You'll direct people. You tell them what to do. They bitch, but they do it. How accurate am I?
95.
95. It's probably 99. But anyway, you see, I don't wonder what he's like. I know exactly what he's like. What is your name? Ashley. Ashley? Yeah. Ashley operates something like you, only she's got another side of her that aggravates her. It's very, very high energy. So there's a part of you that's going to do it right now, and the other side says, Ashley, don't do it right now. So you argue with yourself a lot. Do it, don't do it. Do it, don't do it. Do it, don't do it. And you'll see something, you want to buy it. You're very impulsive. You go to buy it, and the other side says, actually, you shouldn't. You're going to better buy somewhere else. So then you don't do it. And when you don't do it, you give yourself hell for not doing it. When you do it, you give yourself hell for doing it. You should never take a job behind a desk because you're going to be up moving around. And yet there's a side of you that's very organized, but there's a side of you that's very disorganized. How accurate is that? Right on, yeah. And you say, well, you could say that about anybody. No, you can't say that about him. That's not what he's like. How do you know that? Well, you can feel the energy around the person. You can train yourself to read the energy. It's like a book. You're not wondering. You know that's just exactly the way it is. There's Nino. Yeah. Well, Nino here, he's got a stubborn streak in him as white as this room. He really has. Makes up his mind, it's right through the damn wall. He'll move the wall to make it happen. He does not let go of things easy. He's like a dog with a bone. He gets his teeth in, and that's the way it's going to be. And that's just the way he is. It will be done my way, and that's just the way it is. Like, I'd never wonder if you're broke. You'll never be broke. You always got a couple of bucks stuck away for a rainy day. Your idea of being broke and somebody else's is totally different, okay? Now, how do I know that? Well, I know it because I can feel it and I can see it. Like, I know you're a man. You say, well, hell, everybody knows that. No, everybody doesn't. Babies don't know it. You can learn how to pick this energy up and read it. That's what you are, and you can photograph the energy around the body. And I don't wonder if I'm right. I know I'm right. That's not ego. That's awareness. There's a heck of a big difference. Anybody, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm very effective in this business, and I'm very effective because of where I came from. I came from nowhere. I mean, I was losing. I was a big loser. And I never did anything worthwhile. And all of a sudden, I changed. So I know when I can be where I am, coming from where I came from, anybody can do it. So I've gone into prisons and I've helped people there. I've gone into schools and gone all over the place because I'm not effective, but I'm effective because of the experience. Well, that's what you look like. Now, we say, take that, you are a mass of energy and you function on a very high frequency. This is the part. It's driving Sandy crazy that she doesn't know how to do all this yet. She's learning it real fast, but she wants to learn this so bad, And you're getting better, Yeah, I leave her. I'm not going to give it all to her at once because I want her to pay me. Anyway, where are we? Here's the important part. This is key. You can create your own reality. You can. And that's a beautiful thing to know. It's all about the mind, okay? Your marvelous mind. Now, when we go to get goals, it's with the mind we decide where we're going, and it's the mind that we use to get there. Now, this part here is probably most important. Why don't you run through this? You understand this well.
What I really want to be able to do is read people like Bob just did. Doesn't that blow your mind? But I know, we all can do it. I know we can. It's just a matter of doing it. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. What does that mean to you? If we're spiritual beings and we have a physical body, we're having a physical experience, we're gifted with an intellect, and the universal mind is the core of who we are, then we're perfect. Our spiritual DNA is perfect. I remember the first time Bob said, we just have a lot of virus code that's covering up that perfection. And what we want to do is get rid of that virus code and tap into that perfection. Bob's taught this so many times since I went to that first seminar, but I still don't get it to the degree that I know I need to get it. Because it's so powerful. If we are spiritual beings, our spiritual DNA is perfect, requires no modification or improvement. How many times do we sit there and we think, well, I can't do that because I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't have enough education, I don't have the resources that I need, I don't have the money I need. But if we believe we're spiritual beings and our spiritual DNA is perfect, requires no modification or improvement, doesn't that mean we have everything we need right here, right now? When I came up with that goal of creating this program with Bob, I could tell you a million reasons why I couldn't do it. And as I look back now, 13 years later, I see I had everything right in front of me. And we can grasp that idea intellectually, but to grasp it emotionally, to make it part of our paradigm, takes more effort. But if we keep thinking from that place, requires no modification, no improvements. Everything is perfect right here, right now, and it's all knowing. How can you tap into that? I was talking to somebody in the back of the room, and he said, well, I keep asking this question, but I'm not coming up with any answer. What do I do? What do I do? And I said, you've got to allow the answer. Let the answer come through you. Because the answer's here. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. It's all knowing. It's all powerful. Everything you need, it's ever present. And here's the big thing, it's the real you. So ask yourself, are you really what you pretend to be? Or are you playing just small? How many times have you heard someone call and like they'll leave a message, it's just me. Just me? What do you mean, just me? You know, are you who you pretend to be? Are you something much more powerful? And what's holding you back? If you can do anything, what's holding you back? Is it just the paradigm? Is it these masks of illusions? Is it expectations, somebody else's expectations? We want to really get who we are at our core and let all that other stuff go. When you start to step into that power and you start to step into the truth of who you are, that's when your mind is going to be blown by how things start to happen. And when things start to happen that are really wonderful in your life, guess what? They create an energy of their own. And then you start attracting more and you start attracting faster. But the hardest place is the place I was in that seminar for the first time 13 years ago. And there were maybe at least half of you that have never been in a live event. And if you haven't been at one of our live events, I imagine you haven't learned this. And so the hardest point is to take that gigantic step from where you are now. But when you do, I mean, I just love seeing Phil Goldfine and Wendy and Keith Ditta and others, Peggy, McCall, and people who step out. You know, because when I hit send, I mean, it literally felt like I was falling off a cliff. I had visualized this from the time I was 3. I didn't know what I was doing. My mom says I was 3. It sounds a little young, but it could be true. And I always wanted to be a lawyer, just like my dad. And here I was, I'd been this lawyer for 2 decades. By the time I left the law, it was 22 years as a lawyer. And it's like, it felt like I was jumping off a cliff. But, and I love the question back here is, you know, you're trying to figure out what it is that you want, what your purpose is, and what the goal is that can help you achieve that purpose. And I realized in that seminar, there's so much more I could accomplish with my life. I thought being a lawyer, doing these deals, all of this was the vehicle, but I was only impacting so many people. And I saw with this program, with learning to teach this, with getting a program out there that would introduce it to now people all over the world, literally, I could do something to really improve this world. And that had power. And then the more I went after that, the more I started to really see. Someone else had a question of, how do you know who you are? The quickest way to know who you are is to jump off that cliff. and go after something you really want that you feel is way beyond you. And it introduces you to who you are. And then you keep moving down that path and you get introduced to more and more of who you are.
I hope you enjoyed this video. We put a lot of good information up here, and it causes everything in your life to get better. If you'd like us to notify you every time we put a new video up, hit subscribe and then turn on notifications. Check out all our videos, and we will notify you when we put a new one up.